Well, here it is, week 5, and back for some more of the theater of the mind of Andy Molnar. So before I review this week, which is schedule and cost management, before I review the discussion topics and related items, I want to pose a real-world issue. So this week generates a lot of talk about schedule and cost management and the effort to control both, and while adhering at the same time to the baselines in our project management work. So with this premise, adhering to the 3 baselines, scope, schedule, and cost, right? Then how does a PM handle overruns and bloated budgets when you're so far into the project that it's too late to turn back, right? An example is the Big Dig in Boston, which you are writing about. It was going to cost about $2.5 billion, as you've learned by now. And it was going to be completed originally by about 1998. And according to an audit, the project's total cost ended up being way over budget, right? And at one point was estimated that it could have reached a staggering almost $14 billion, a full $11 billion over the original almost $3 billion budget, right? Now, and this is unfathomable by most standards, right? So draw your own conclusions on what could have been done to handle the overruns. That's what I want you to write about. Don't tell me about the Boston Dig. I know about it. What I want you to do is you're writing to say, okay, here's an area of interest, and I allow you to pick it: scope, schedule, cost, risk, procurement, stakeholder, communications, whatever you want to talk about. Focus on the Big Dig, but focus on how you can apply what you've learned in this course and all the previous courses, and offer suggestions or solutions. How could they have done it better? We're not blaming them. We're just moving forward on best practices. So that should be the focus. So there are other failed projects that, like the Boston Dig, frankly, turned out to be a big success. Go figure. The Opera House in Australia is another big one. It was a massive project failure by the Iron Triangle determinants, but in the end, it is today the most visited landmark in Australia, right? And so the success is likely to be long after you've been done, right, with the job. And so we want to be cautious here on blaming others, but you will be judged at the end of your project, probably annually, according to some corporate budget and boss, on schedule, scope, and cost, 2 of which are covered this week: schedule and cost. Now, after the project is half over, the number one issue for the project manager, the number one issue for the rest of the project, according to research, is the schedule. Building, maintaining, and controlling the project schedule, which is building your deliverable. That's the scope. And this can be demanding, but it's very doable. So this lesson will teach you the tools required to produce a great schedule, as well as the schedule compression techniques to get back on schedule if that is a requirement. Now, cost management, fortunately, is almost a simpler carbon copy of schedule management. So don't do schedule and go, oh my gosh, now I got to do cost. No, it's simpler, but it's carbon copy. Once you've learned schedule, you largely know cost. They share many of the same inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs, with only a few differences being a focus on cost versus the schedule, obviously. Now let's have some fun building the schedule and controlling costs. That's what we do. I can't wait. Okay, see you online.